Hello and welcome to this edition of FiTV. I'm your host, Brad Swanson. We are coming to you from the second to last day of the 2021 Florida legislative session. Today, we have the privilege of being joined by Matt Dixon of Politico Florida. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. It's not Andrews, but it's a beautiful set.
I know. Well, we had to mix it up a little bit.
I'm kidding.
Putting the Capitol behind you makes you look that much more important.
It's a great setting.
Thanks. All right. So this session going in, I think the general narrative is it was COVID. It was going to take over everything. Give us your read on the highlines of how this session has gone.
Well, what's interesting is going into a pandemic session, you would ordinarily think kind of chaos because it's a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. And the Capitol's felt different. There's been no lobbyists and it's been fairly empty. But from a policy and just sort of the flow of movement and sort of the House and Senate interplay, it's been relatively smooth. The pandemic committees are about to pass a fairly large piece of legislation sort of reacting to it. One of the key pieces is going to be a ban on vaccine passports, which is a big priority for the governor. Right. As of this moment, it hasn't passed, but I do believe most people expect it to. So there's been a pandemic focus to a degree, and President Biden's, the stimulus money has really helped sort of, get over some of the initial budget hurdles. So with the pandemic as a backdrop, it's generally been a smooth session. We're sitting here, as you'd mentioned, about 48 hours out, and there's not a lot of sticking points left. And I've been here, you've been here during sessions when going down to the very last minute, there's hospital lobbyists on the fourth floor screaming and yelling, and all sorts of fights and fires everywhere. And we don't have that this year. Yeah,
it's interesting. As a person who runs an association and getting access to the members, the phone and it's not our favorite way, but the phone and the computers and the panels and that sort of stuff, we've been able to get to them. But what's your take on some of these really controversial national kind of issues like the elections reform bill or HB1? I mean, these are steps forward that Florida is taking. Their opponents would argue steps backwards. But
they're hugely controversial. You're right. Democrats and opponents are crying unconstitutional with a lot of these things. But what I would say, and I go back to when Rick Scott was governor, there was a Republican legislature. Just because the governor and the Republican majority, the majority of the legislature are the same party, doesn't mean there's often not fighting. They used to have knockdown, drag-out sort of legendary battles over Scott's priorities. This year, DeSantis is poised. As of this moment, he hasn't gotten everything, but it appears he's on the verge of getting essentially everything he wanted. There's a bill that has to do with social media censorship. There's the riot bill. There's $1,000 bonuses for teachers and first responders. All of those things seem to be on a path to passage. So the governor, I think, is going to have a really good session and give him everything he needs going into 2022. Some of those things will also, without question, give fuel to his opponents. But now, the governor got what he wanted. Now it's about messaging and, trying to sell it to voters going into 2022.
Yeah. I know, if you've got a bill that you like, everyone's in that mode now of writing their support letters to the governor.
That's right.
If they don't like it, we're writing veto letters. We might have one of those going in ourselves.
I have no doubt that the inbox for Governor DeSantis is full of encouragement.
Yeah. So as a reporter who's always here in the Capitol, what's your take on maybe somebody else that's never here but purports to know everything about what's going on here in the Capitol?
Oh, you mean Peter Schorsch?
No, I wasn't talking about Peter.
No. Yeah, Peter from his bureau in St. Petersburg does claim to know a lot about our home turf here, but maybe we'll see him here next year. Maybe we won't.
Hey, you know what? Maybe if we bribe him with a set of Pope slippers.
Yes. Honestly, I'll chip in. I'm in.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, thanks for coming on, Matt. We appreciate
Of course.
you.
Thanks for having me.
That's all the time we have for this interview. But for more interviews like this one, make sure you hit us up on our social media feeds. And for now, thanks for tuning in.